Alright, so let's take a look at a couple of other elements here of the Illustrator workspace. The next one in line to look at is the properties bar up top here, and that is this bar that we have that continues across the screen. Let's see, let's move around. So we've got document setup preferences. Basically what this properties bar is when I select an object inside of Illustrator, so I'm going to grab this square that I created, it shows me basic properties of this object that I can then adjust. So in the instance of this square here, I can change the let's see, there's a paint, the way that I've got the stroke. I can add like a charcoal edge to my stroke instead of just a regular old stroke. I'm going to undo that. I can change the size of the stroke. Let's give that a color that we can see. Okay, so I can select my object, make it a really thick stroke. I can change the size dimensions of it right over here. I can make that's the X and the Y location. There's the width and the height. They're slowly changing. So anyway, you get the gist of it. This area up here is the properties, and when I select an object, I have specific properties for that object that I can then adjust. The last area to look at, actually I guess we've got two more. One is the palettes, and let's look at how we can use and rearrange these palettes here for setting up your own workspace. Basically the palettes in CS4, they may appear something like this. You'll open Illustrator and you'll see something like this. If for some reason things get moved around and you can't find them, again, like I said earlier, Window, this is a list of all of your palettes. If you want to get back to the way Illustrator came when you first installed it, not the way that the preferences, but the way that it was displayed, the way everything was laid out, I can go into Workspace and I can go down to Essentials, and that will reset everything to the way it was when I first installed Illustrator. It won't get rid of any other preferences that you've set. All this does is arranges the position of palettes and a lot of other things. So with that said, here back at the palettes, I can click on this bar at the very top, and that will compress them. That gives me more space over here to work on my map, and then I can click on these individual icons and display my palettes. If there's some palettes that I never use, I can grab the tab of the palette, separate it over here, and then click close, and now my swatches are gone. They're still nested under Window. If I come back here to Window, or I can come down and open up my styles here. Let's see, or whichever one it was I just threw away. Anyway, it should be under there. Short-term memory. That's what caving's done to me. Okay, so I can show these. I can separate them by grabbing the tab. If I want to join it back here, I grab it, drag it over until I get a blue outline. Once I get that, I'll let it go, and it's now nested with that group. If I want to separate a whole group, I can grab this. Let's grab this one over here, and now I'll grab the top there and join it with this grouping of 2 right here, and now it turns into a grouping of 4. So it's a way to organize and rearrange things. If I want to move that whole thing, I'll grab these 2 dotted lines, separate it over here, and now I can expand it out. So in this part of the tutorial, I'm not going to go through what all these do, because really it's a bottomless pit of features and capabilities that these different palettes have. So we're not going to go through all of these. You'll find that as you use Illustrator, that there will be just a handful that you actually use. One other thing too on the palettes is that every palette in the upper right hand corner has a little drop down menu. It's got 3 or 4, let's see, that's 4 little dashed lines and an arrow. If I click on that, it will expand and show me features or other things that I can do with that palette. So I can change here I'm in the color palette, I can change it to work in RGB, hue, saturation, brightness, web safe, grayscale. I can invert, complement, do all kinds of things to that palette and to the tools that I will gain from that palette. One other thing too is, let's see, let me open, let's see if Layers has it here. No. Oh, there are some quick access buttons. So on the layers, I can create a new layer here by clicking this button, create a new sublayer, make a clipping mask, or I can do it here in the drop-down menu. Let's see, there's a new layer, a new sublayer. And if I want to do it a different way, I can come up and go to somewhere up in here, there's probably another way to do it. So there are thousands of ways to do the same thing. You just have to figure out which ones work for you and what's the best way for you. So I think that's it with the palettes. The last thing is the document artboard. So that's this white square that I'm looking at here that I set up when I first created my document. A few features that I have down here is right now I'm viewing it at 47%. I can change that and view it at 100%. Now I don't see the dartboard anywhere because I'm zoomed in so close that, or I'm zoomed into 100%, so I'm not really seeing the edges of the artboard. So I'm going to go back down. Let's see, let's scroll down and go to fit on the screen. And then here are my pages. Right now I just set up one page. If you remember back when we set up our document, if I had more pages, then they would show and I could go to page 2 or 3 or 4 and so on. Now I'm also seeing another thing here. It says never saved. I better fix that quick, fast, and in a hurry and learn the keyboard shortcut for that. So I'm going to go to File and Save, which for those of you who use about any other application, Control S on the PC, Command S on the Mac. Let's make sure we save that before we begin working. And there's our box, and let's give it a name. I'm going to call it Oak City Cave because that's the cave we're going to be working on, and I'll go ahead and just save it on the desktop. And let's see, version, yes, I want to save it as a CS4 version. If I was gonna give this to people who are working on CS2, then I'd save it as CS2. But CS4 is fine, so I hit OK, and I know it's saved as soon as Untitled1 goes away and oakcitycave.ai shows up. Okay, so we are now good to go. We've created our document, we're familiar with the workspace, and now it's time to start playing around.